Today, I want to talk about potentially the most common form of toxicity in Dead by Daylight, endgame chat toxicity. We're going to talk about what it is, all the types of interactions you can have in endgame chat, and, of course, how to deal with it. We're keeping this intro short and sweet. Let's get into it. Firstly, what is endgame chat toxicity? It's in the name. It's when people are toxic to you in the endgame chat after a match of DBD. This isn't unique to Dead by Daylight based on the horror stories I've heard from other multiplayer games, but it's practically a universal experience for everyone who has played DBD for almost any amount of time to have received toxicity in endgame chat, with the exception of console players, but then I've also heard that they can get messages through Xbox's messaging system. That's a whole other can of worms. We're sticking to what can actually happen in endgame chat, and in order to best prepare, we gotta go through every possible scenario. This is how I deal with problems in real life. Let's go through a bunch of categories. Alright, number 1, the bottom of the barrel. This is hopefully a minority of endgame interactions, but this is when your opponent says some heinous shit. I'm talking slurs, telling me to kill myself in a variety of creative ways, and generally being very unsavory, to put it kindly. There are two types of people that I would subcategorize within this category. People that are just trolling to get a rise out of you, and people that are genuinely angry and want to make you feel as bad as they feel, so they lash out. Like, I don't know, a toddler throwing a tantrum and breaking a bunch of crayons so no one else gets to draw. I generally feel pretty neutral towards this type of toxicity. I mean, obviously you shouldn't say shit like this, but I've seen plenty of shocking things be said, and I feel comfortable shrugging it off and understanding that it's not about me, and there's clearly some personal issues being worked out here. Number 2. It gets personal. This is when your opponent or teammate attempts to personally attack you. Some examples that immediately come to mind are angry opponents that clicked on my profile, saw that I have a YouTube channel, and then insulted my videos. Or people see that I'm a P100 Twins and say that I'm terrible at pouncing with Victor. This is probably the category I've struggled with the most. If I've had a rough match, sometimes this is enough to send me over the edge and I get off the game for the night. I think this primarily comes from people who feel personally attacked because of some sort of in-game action, like tunneling someone out, and they feel the need to return the favor. That's a pattern we'll see a lot of while we're going through the negative possibilities of endgame chat. People that are upset are just more likely to try and upset you. Number 3, salt in the wound. This scenario might be a bit difficult to explain, but basically it's not about the endgame chat itself, it's about how terribly the game went and that terribleness bleeds out of the trial. Like when I'm unable to get a single kill and then the survivor says GG easy and my head starts pounding because of how frustrated I am. This hasn't happened in a while because I've made a lot of progress in therapy, but I still wanted to mention it. I don't know what to say about sore winners. The type that say GG easy after steamrolling you. There's no logical reason I can think of beyond some people just want to watch the world burn. And when that happens, I try and recognize that I'm freaking out over some simple trash talk, and I cool off and I hold my guinea pigs or something. Breathing exercises also help. Number 4, friendly fire. This is a scenario specific to when teammates, often survivors, are being toxic towards one another. This can be something as vague as, wow, my team sucked, to, wow, Elodie, you failed that body block so badly, I literally am never going to play this game again because of how poorly you, specifically, just fucked up. But that's just an example. I've been on both the receiving end of this form of toxicity as well as a spectator. A killer watching the survivors bicker amongst themselves. Generally, I avoid picking sides and just leave, as if tensions are already high, I don't want to stoke the fire. It can feel pretty bad when your teammate is calling you out, and this is coming from someone who's pretty fucking bad at Survivor. So I feel pretty embarrassed when I mess up, and the person who's literally on my side is insulting me. I very rarely see friendly fire from a team that has won, so I think that this is a usual case of being frustrated at losing and taking it out on whoever is to blame. Besides yourself, of course. Next up. Typical trash talk. This is just run-of-the-mill, play another killer, learn how to play, you're bad, get good, whatever. Trash talk. This is in a separate category from salt in the wound because this usually comes from a sore loser rather than a sore winner. A killer that got body blocked one too many times, or a survivor team that wasn't efficient enough with gens being salty at the other side for not giving them an easier time. I've engaged in trash talk, honestly, particularly in my streams. They did? They teabagged? I can't believe it. Oh, fuck you! I'm hitting you on hook. You're a sick son of a bitch. And as long as it doesn't cross a line, I'd argue it's actually a healthy way to deal with the unending frustration that Dead by Daylight can cause. Number 6, nothing at all. Crickets. A dust ball rolls past the screen. Literally nothing from your opponent or opponents. There are 2 nothing scenarios that stand out. No response after a completely normal game. I'm unbothered. I usually say GG anyway, but if I get no response, I shrug it off. No response after a really rough game. Man, if I have clawed my way to a win and I've tunneled and camped and slugged and I see nothing in endgame chat, I am relieved. That is a best case scenario for me. We've reached complete neutrality, so let's keep pushing forward and get to the positive stuff. Number 7. Just normal GG's. Maybe throw in a well played if you're feeling extra. This is just good sportsmanship. I move on to the next game feeling good. If the prop system meant anything at all, I'd give all these survivors props just for being good sports. Number 8, some extra spice. This is when your opponents say GG, but there's a little something extra. Joking about the match, well wishes for your next games, something like that. Something a little more personal than GG's. I would actually count fun trash talk in this category. I had a survivor pick up their item after trading it for freedom, and I did call them a rat, but it wasn't rat derogatory, it was rat affectionate, you know? There's nuance here. I also bonded with a Sable over us both getting bugged out by another fucking twins bug. Who could have predicted that? That's the sort of extra spice that I'm talking about. Now, let's move on to the final and best category. Genuine connection with an opponent or teammate. Whew, baby, this is my favorite type of interaction, and it's probably the rarest. This is where I get to talk about how endgame chats aren't exclusively cesspools of negativity, and you can have some really cool interactions there. I don't think there's a better way to put it into words than to show a live reaction to a nice moment I had after a game on stream. Aw, GG's. Thank you guys, you're the best. Aw, they're so nice. Oh my goodness. I love them. Aw, I love you too. You're awesome. Yes. It's a great reminder that you're going against a human being who wants to have fun in the game, and everyone having fun together is awesome. How to deal with negativity. I like to give a healthy mix of tangible advice, real actions you can take to improve your situation, and conceptual advice, alternate ways of thinking about your situation when approaching issues like this. So we'll alternate between the two. Tangible. Close endgame chat. I know it sounds simple, but literally keeping endgame chat closed could help if you're dealing with a lot of negativity and toxicity. Out of sight, out of mind. The occasional GG well played isn't worth the added stress of people being assholes. Conceptual. People's words only have as much control as you give them. That random person calling you a slur or telling you that you're bad at the game can only affect you as much as you let it. I know that is so much easier in theory than in practice, especially in trials that are already super emotionally charged. But this person doesn't know you, and their opinion of you is arguably the least important opinion to take into consideration. What they're saying isn't actually about you because they don't know who you are. All they know is that you tunneled them or you genrush them, and those aren't inherently immoral actions. Tangible. Turn on anonymous mode. I actually made a video about this recently, but turning on anonymous mode is great if you're feeling anxious about the scary people in the game. Don't give your opponents anything to latch onto and insult you about beyond your in-game performance. Conceptual. Engaging this toxicity will lead you to dislike the game more. When I say engaging, I don't just mean arguing with people in endgame chat. I mean looking for content about salty killers or survivors saying crazy shit post-game, or explicitly looking for proof that people are assholes in DBD. I promise you, if you go looking for people being assholes, you're gonna find it. There's toxicity everywhere on the internet. I don't watch salt content because it's just more divisive nonsense that makes everyone yell at each other, and there's so much of that in the world already. I personally think that the more you engage in negativity and toxicity in DBD, the less you're going to enjoy the game overall. And don't confuse that for me saying that DBD can't or shouldn't be criticized. Of course there's room for constructive criticism. But just, oh my gosh, but saying that all survivors are the worst isn't constructive. It's just mean. Oh, sorry. That's a side tangent. Okay. Tangible. Don't argue with people. Here, look at me. I have 6,000 hours in this game, and I've made some stupid-ass decisions. One of them was all those times I stayed in endgame chat arguing with a survivor team or a killer player about whether or not I played fair, or whether or not I tunneled, or whatever. I've desperately tried to get the final word, to have that mic drop moment where I say the perfect comeback and everyone cheers and suddenly agrees with me and apologizes for being mean. That's literally never happened. Even if I feel like I'm walking away from an argument having won, that's a hollow victory. I still feel like shit. This isn't an invitation for a discussion or a debate. It is a cesspool that will drown you in negativity, and you gotta get out of it as fast as possible. Conceptual. Remember the good moments as well as the bad. Just like everything else in DBD, it can't all be bad. If everything in this game was actually bad, no one would play. We can hyperbolically say that everything is ruined, or the game is unsalvageable and it's dying, but people are still playing, and there are nice, good people that play Dead by Daylight. I've had a bunch of endgame interactions that honestly made my day. I've had a bad game that was salvaged by people being good sports and being respectful about my loss. I'm sure I could make videos about how survivors are the worst people in the world and it's impossible for killers to win, but that's always an incomplete picture. DBD is flawed and complicated and weird and wonderful, and I will keep coming back because it's not all bad. And I also love the twins. Alright, I've been talking a lot about myself and my own experiences, but I am just one person, so let's take a look at what y'all have to say about endgame chat toxicity. Here, a community member says that bringing up an opponent's performance can make them get defensive. I can definitely see how something that's intended as constructive criticism could be seen as taunting, especially coming from a stranger on the internet, because people tend to assume the worst. Generally, even if you have the best of intentions, I would advise against giving advice in this game. Most people won't take it very well. This person received quite a bit of toxicity because they're a night main, but they also said something really insightful, which is a mindset I try and follow. After someone has been rude to you, when you go into the next game, remember it's not those new survivors' fault that you got insulted last game. Taking your anger out on the following team won't get you any closure, it'll probably just lead to you getting more frustrated. This community member has really only experienced endgame chat toxicity in survivor games from other survivors, usually from less experienced or lower hour count players. They say this could be connected to a community-wide burnout problem among DBD veterans, and I could totally see that being the case. I've been playing this game for years, and my ability to brush off endgame toxicity pretty much comes from how much I've experienced it and how desensitized I am. I'm sure that it hits a lot harder for newer folks who just haven't seen it as much. That's kind of why I'm making this video. There were a few folks like this one who talked about receiving hateful messages because of the survivor or killer they were playing or the charms that they had. Basically, people being homophobic or transphobic or racist over a video game character or a hook charm. Weirdly, I haven't run into too much homophobia, even though I have a ton of pride flags on my hooks. Fortunately, the survivor reactions I see to that are them getting excited and showing me their own pride charms, and it's a moment of connection. I don't have anything productive to say about bigotry. It's bad. I know that it's bad. We know that it's bad. I just know that that sort of hate is a waste of energy and time when there's already so much pain and suffering in the world. I got a lot more answers than these, but these were the ones I wanted to directly respond to. The general consensus was that endgame toxicity was not the majority of interactions, they just stood out more because the negativity and toxicity is louder than the neutral or positive interactions. This has been this video's Community Corner segment. Thank you to all my wonderful community members for sharing their thoughts and experiences, and be sure to join the Discord server if you haven't already. The invite is at the top of the description. Before we move on to the conclusion, I gotta thank my wonderful Ko-Fi supporters who paid for this awesome new Community Corner art. Special shout out Hammock and Bashi for the long-time support. Thank you so much. Alright, I think we're going to keep this conclusion shorter because this video is already really long and I've said everything I want to say. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, how you deal with endgame toxicity, your experiences with it, and what your favorite animal is, just to mix it up. Please, please don't make this a survivors versus killers thing. I'm not saying that all survivors are assholes, nor am I saying that all survivors are innocent. And I'm not saying that about killers either. Killers can be assholes, survivors can be nice, and everything in between. This is not a matter of killers versus survivors. This is a matter of whether someone is being toxic or not, and everyone is capable of that. Thank you guys so much for 8,000 subscribers. I cannot believe there's 8,000 Twinsbanes in the world. That is just crazy. I love you guys. I'm really sorry I haven't been posting as frequently, but honestly, college has been really busy, and I'm trying to graduate a semester early, so I'm diverting a lot more of my energy and time to lab and schoolwork. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your loved ones, and be kind to strangers. People are already so isolated right now, and sometimes just complimenting someone's cool hat or holding the door for someone can remind us that we are not going through life alone.